I'm with sNRL, and this technology actually emerged out of Wright State University as part of my dissertation. So just initially to kind of cover what digital signal processing is and signals. Signals convey information. They're everywhere. And a signal can be an analog signal as in a physical waveform or of sound, or it can be a digital signal as a sequence of numbers that represent all the information in that sound. So every day, you're influenced by digital signal processing, whether you know it or not. If you drove a car this morning, used your GPS to get here, used a cell phone, used the internet, you use digital signal processing. With the digital signal processing, what that actually is just applying math to the sequence of numbers that represents that signal to make it more useful or advantageous, something like digital filtering. And when you do this, you can do a lot of different things with that signal. Digital signal processing is often called the phantom technology in terms of it's in nearly all modern electronics, but exists behind the scenes. It's the brains of the device, but most people are unaware of it. So because digital signal processing is everywhere, I'd actually want to talk about it in relationship to sound. So next slide. So the movie The Lord of the Rings, it was a monumental film, came out years ago, but it was totaling 12.1 hours if you watch the extended release back to back, all three episodes. But when they were filming, next slide, less than 10% of the film actually had usable audio from the location that they filmed, because in New Zealand they had a lot of production noise from the equipment and also the environmental sounds in the background. So they had two options. They could either call in the actors to revoice the scenes, which wasn't quite as good as the original acting, or they could hire a digital signal processing company to process that audio to try to recover the lost audio. They chose the second option. So here, just as an example, we have a typical equalizer. This equalizer is on the right-hand side, you have the low frequencies. On the left-hand side, you have the high frequencies. And let's say that we want to extract out that frequency in the middle of the yellow frequency. With traditional filtering, a lot of times you get a warping of the adjacent frequencies that are next to it. So that if we were this company, you've actually corrupted the sound of the adjacent frequencies as well. So this limits your ability to recover the signal. So with what I call a noise equalizer, we can actually extract that exact frequency without affecting the adjacent frequencies. And the flapping cape and the clinking arm are left intact. So Noise Research Laboratory has the ability to pretty much shape any signal, whether it's sound or not, and eliminate the errors introduced by traditional filters. But what really makes us different from another signal processing company? Well, we use fractional calculus, and fractional calculus really allows us to create custom equations, to write an equation for the spectrum of the sound in the frequency domain. And so what that means is that once we have an equation, we can start to find solutions, and we can program those equations up as algorithms in hardware or software in order to extract the signal. So right now for audio, we've been looking at three different markets. 3D audio, we can rewrite 3D audio equations for 3D space so that you can tailor the 3D audio to your individual hearing. This also allows you to do some directional noise cancellation. In the hearing health market, if you think about writing an equation for individual hearing loss, we can do that in terms of writing an equation for the spectrum of your hearing loss. And then any other filtering that you do on top of that is additive so that you can tailor the equation of your individual hearing loss with whatever augmented reality you want to turn up certain frequencies. And that can actually be as easy as just writing a filter on your smartphone, just drawing it out, and it will create that filter. And in consumer audio devices, this is pretty interesting because you can actually write an equation for each note of a musical instrument. So If you wanted to dynamically simulate a 300-year-old Stradivarius, you could probably do that with this. And in terms of simulated voice, there are about 44 phonemes or units of sound in the English language. So what if you could just have a sentence that you say to kind of calibrate your device so that it includes all 44 sounds. And then you create a catalog of mathematical filters for each of those sounds for your voice. And then now suddenly Apple Siri or Amazon Echo is sounding like your voice or your mom's voice or your husband's voice or your wife's voice, or maybe the voice of your favorite celebrity. And this also would allow you to, if I had the 44 phonemes of your voice and the 44 phonemes of my voice, I could actually convert my voice to your voice. All right, next slide. All right, so in terms of traction right now we have a strong working prototype in MATLAB, and we're trying to get it converted into a software development kit, so we're actively working on that right now so that other researchers and scientists can actually test it out and implement the solutions in hardware or software. We also are in the process of obtaining the exclusive license from Right State for all fields, and in terms of patents, there are 6 filed patents as far as provisional patents and formal patents, including international and US patents. Right now we're also working with a prominent music company that is talking about including us in their product line for around sound simulation and audio processing. And we're also in discussion with members of AFRL and other DoD branches in terms of trying to get the technology integrated into military applications. So currently we are raising our next round. We want to design and code up a DSP chip, because if we had actually the algorithms coded up on DSP chips, that would allow us to integrate into hardware more easily, and then also like with a semiconductor company, they can deploy the DSP chips in a lot of different hardware, such as hearing aids. We want to also continue to build our customer partnerships so that the current partnerships that we are forming right now remain intact, and then also obtain new partnerships as we other new customers become aware of our IP and what we can do. And we also have to protect any new IP, so it's a continuous process. If you have a new emerging technology, there's constantly new IP that I'm coming across that we have to protect. So that's kind of what we're using any capital for. So when you think about, just to kind of close, in terms of technology and where we've come in the past years, I'm just going to use an example from a space, because I just thought, I was listening to an audiobook by Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he had said that before 1990, we only really knew that 9 planets existed in the universe. We didn't really have the technology to verify that there were more than 9 planets. After 1990, as our technology increased and our digital signal processing capability increased, we were able to detect more planets, so that now, as of May 2016, we have 2,325 known planets. And with fractional calculus, it's an emerging field. It's only in the literature in the past couple of years, although it's been known about for 300 years. But there's all these other things that we can do, and you think about where you could take the technology. So the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is the little extra, and that's the fractional. Thank you.